Friends, welcome to our channel Know the Law, and here I am, Advocate Jyoti Chodia. Today we are going to study the part 3 of the Indian Constitution, which consists of the fundamental rights. These fundamental rights starts from Article 12 to 35 of the Indian Constitution, which speaks about various rights given to the citizens of India, right, like right to equality, right against prohibition, like right against the discrimination, again right for the religious freedom and much more. So let us study these all fundamental rights one by one. And before beginning with our today's video, please do watch our videos till the end and know your views or thoughts or queries in our comment section on the YouTube channel. So let's begin. So the fundamental rights are the group of the rights which are guaranteed to all the citizens of the nation by the Constitution of India under the Part 3. So these are the basic or the rights without which the survival of a person cannot be possible in any of the country. So these rights are given so much protection as being the fundamental rights to the citizens of India, which has protected against the state if they violate in any of such manner. And if any such manner, if those fundamental rights are violated by the state authorities, then it can be challenged in the Supreme Court or the High Court respectively under Article 226 and 32 of the Indian Constitution. So further it says that these rights apply universally to all citizens residing in the nation irrespective of their place of birth, race, religion, caste or gender. That means these fundamental rights are free from all kinds of discrimination. Next, it says that they are recognized by law as right, requiring a high degree of protection from the government, and they cannot be violated by the government. As earlier also I say that these rights are of very high level or the high degree that it is protected against the government, because these rights are provided by the government, and being the government protector of this right, if any way they only violates our law, then what we expect from the government. So these rights are given more value than the any of the power in the nation or in the constitution. If these government who are in authority or who are in position to make any laws or rules for the people of India, then we can challenge such volatile laws in front of the Supreme Court and High Courts, which are established by the Constitution itself as the safeguards of these fundamental rights. Further, it says the fundamental rights cannot be enforced against the individual and the private entities. As we have earlier seen in the videos that there was a contract between the government and the people in exchange of the protection. If the government provides the protection to the people, then and then only the people will elect such persons as an authority to rule over them. So in this give and take process, there is no role of the individual violating any of the laws. So only it is said that fundamental rights can only be challenged against the authorities of the government and not against the individuals. If it has to be challenged against individuals, then it can be challenged under the criminal laws or the civil laws or any other laws, but not under the constitutional laws. So further it says that it is very important to determine what bodies fall under the definition of state so as to determine on whom the responsibility has to be placed. So earlier also I have explained that the government is the authority, or the state as a whole is the authority for the protection of these fundamental rights. So it is very necessary to define the boundaries, so that we can understand who all people comes under definition or overwhelm or in the box of the state as such or the government as such. If we do not define these lines, then we cannot challenge the violation of our fundamental rights against such authorities. So, before starting with our fundamental rights, in the first article, that is Article 12 itself, the definition of the state itself has been defined so as to the responsibility on whom the such violation of the fundamental rights can be challenged, and much more can be helped out. So accordingly, the makers of the constitution have defined the state at the beginning of the part 3 of the constitution, that is under the fundamental rights in the constitution of India. As earlier also have said, at the beginning of the fundamental rights itself, the state, the word state has been defined, and who all parties or authorities comes under the definition of the state has been defined. So the burden of proof or the burden of violation or against whom the case has to be filed, if there is any violation of these fundamental rights by that authorities, can be clarified in much simplified way. So now moving further, now let us know from where the Article 2 was originated, or what were the thoughts of the makers of the constitution about the Article 12. So it will be a vital clear to understand that why the Article 12 defined the state first of all in the part 3, and then other freedoms of the fundamental rights were defined. So let's begin it. To understand the ambit and the scope of Article 12, for that it is necessary to know and understand the origin or the motive of the farmers of the Indian Constitution behind inserting this article in the Constitution. As earlier also I have said, to understand why the state has been defined in under Article 12. So it is very necessary to understand the origin or the thought process behind the makers of the constitution to insert such things in the constitution itself. So let us study them. Uh, it was present, as we see presently, Article 12, but earlier it was introduced in the draft constitution as Article 7. While initiating the debate on this article, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, who was the chairman of the drafting committee, described the scope and reason as to why this article was inserted in the chapter of the fundamental rights as follows. I will be reading out in his own language was what he said in the constitutional assembly as in his own words. So let read these lines and then understand its meaning. So he says that the object of the fundamental right is twofolded. Firstly, that every citizen must be in a position to claim those rights. And secondly, they must be binding upon every authority. I shall presently explain what the word authority means. Upon every authority which has got either the power to make the laws or the power to have discretion listed in it. Therefore, it is quite clear that if the fundamental rights are to be clear, then they must be binding not only upon the central government, They must not only be binding upon the provincial government, they must not only be binding on the government established in Indian states, they must also be binding upon the district local boards, municipalities, even village panchayats and taluka, and in fact every authority which has been created by law and which has got certain power to make the laws and rules or the bylaws as such. So from this we can see that Baba Sahib Ambedkar was a think a thought of way forward, keeping in the mind of the future that the state not only consists of the central or the state government but of the local level authorities as well. But not only the local authorities, other authorities, whoever has the power to make the laws or pass an ordinance or pass such amendments or even the rules or the bylaws by them, if they acquire in a position by way of decentralization, power of making the laws in any way. So all these authorities are have come uh, under the definition of law according to Baba Sahib Ambedkar, so as to it will be very clear from both the sides what the fundamental rights can be enjoyed by the people and how it can be protected, and if violated then who will be responsible for all such nuisance. If he kept in the mind that if at any point the local government violates the laws, and the people can't sit now and then and claim the rights against the central government or the state government for every such small petition. So whoever authority has violated the governmental authority have violated the laws, that authority should only be punished, not the people who have not violated those laws. So this was his thought process behind him. Now let us study what is actually mentioned in Article 12. So Article 12 definition which is given about the state in Article 12, read about it. The definition in this part, unless the context otherwise requires, the state includes, that means it includes the government and the parliament of India and the government and the legislature of each of the states and all the local or other authorities within the territory of India or under the control of the government of India. That means this definition is inclusive. That means it includes all the state government, all the central government, not only the state and national central government, but also the legislature as well, be the parliament or be the state legislature for that matter. But this definition not only stopped here, also it moved away further and said that all local authorities and the other authorities within the territory of India, whoever the authorities are, be the local or any other authorities functioning as a sovereign government or by way of discretion of decentralization power, acquire any power of legislating the rules or regulation or the bylaws, then every such authority in India shall be a state within the definition of Article 12. So what are the keywords used in the Article 12? Let's them study one by one. So uh, among them the first is the legislative and the executive organs of the union government. So what this executive and legislative government union government forms of, it forms of the Indian government, that is be the office of the PM, be the ministry of home minister, finance minister, or railway minister for any of that matter, that forms the Indian government. Again, the Indian parliament consists of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. In the same manner, uh, the legislative and executive organs are of the state government as well. That includes the CM's office, again various departments of the central government and state government, and the state legislative includes the legislative assembly in some states, and in some states the legislative council of the states are also there. Like in Maharashtra, there exists both the legislative assembly and the legislative council. And next comes the local authorities. So what comes under definition of local authorities? Let's see them one by one. Among them, first is a municipality. Municipality means the municipal corporations, nagar palika, nagar panchayat, and so on. And next is the panchayats. What are the panchayats? Jilla panchayats, mandal panchayats, and the basic to the ground level is the gram panchayat. And next is the district boards, improvement trusts, and much more. So each and every authority which functions as the sovereign or like a similar nature functioning of a government, each and every authority is held as the state. So like this way forward, the Supreme Court in the recent time have given a test, a set of rules or a test to determine who are included in the local authority under Article 12. It was in the case of Muhammad Yassin versus Town Area Committee in 1952 itself. That means when the just a few years have been passed to form the Supreme Court of India. In that time only, the Supreme Court have laid down a test to determine who all authorities come under the purview of the local authority. So, the Honorable Supreme Court says that as characterized local authority, the local authority must consist of one, a separate legal existence as a corporate body. That means there should be an independent existence of that body. Secondly, not be a mere government agency but must be legally an independent entity. That means it should not be a merely a government agency but also function as an independent authority as well. And third is function in a defined area. Means the functioning of that agency or that body should be in a specific area and should not cross that limit. And fourthly, be wholly or partly, directly or indirectly elected by the inhabitants of that area, which means that in which area that body is functioning, the members of that body should be elected by the people in which area they are, uh, the body is functioning, or that's what it says. Next, it says that enjoy a certain degree of autonomy, complete or partial. As also earlier said, that it should take the individual decisions for the welfare of the people on whom such authority is governing or in which area it is governing. Sixthly, the Honorable Supreme Court says that be entrusted by the statute with such governmental functions and duties as are usually entrusted to the locally, like of health department, education department, water, town planning, market, transportation, and such on. That means in some or the other manner, such bodies should be entrusted with the governmental authorities, like for the functioning for the welfare of the people, be in the field of education, be in the field of sanitary, be in the field of transportation, and much more. So lastly, the Supreme Court says that have the power to raise the fund or for the furtherance of its activities and fulfillment of objectivities by levying the taxes, rates, charges or fees. That means the authority not only function as like governmental authorities, but also have the right to collect the taxes in some or the other form, or can should raise the fund for himself to do all such welfare activities in that particular area for the well-being of that people in that area. So if any body or any authority pass this test, which is defined in the Muhammad Yassin versus Town Area Committee, then such body or such authority comes under the definition of the local authority and can be stated as a state under Article 12. Now, moving further, what all included or what authorities are included under the word other authorities under Article 12 can be understand. So it says that the term other authorities in Article 12 has nowhere been defined. That means what consists of other authorities have been defined have not been defined anywhere, neither in the Constitution nor in the General Clauses Act of 1897, and nor in any other statute of India. Means the word other authority have not been defined in any of the laws which are prevailing in India. Therefore, its interpretation has caused a good deal of difficulty, and judicial opinion has undergone the changes over a period of a time. That means it is left out totally open to the judiciary to define what all authorities or bodies come under the definition of other authorities to be held as responsible for any of the violation of the fundamental rights is up to the judiciary. So for that purpose of determining what other authorities fall under the scope of the state, the judiciary has given n number of judgments as per the facts and the circumstances of that particular cases. So, firstly, among them is the University of Madras versus Santabai in the 1954, in which the Madras High Court evolved the principle of ejusdem generis, that means of a like nature. It means those authorities who are covered under the expression other authorities which perform the governmental or sovereign function. That means earlier in 1954, the Madras High Court passed a judgment in University of Madras versus Santabai and used the principle of ejusdem generis, which means any authority or body performing any of the function that is similar to the governmental functions, then such body or authority can be termed as the other authorities and will come under the purview of Article 12. But the Supreme Court in Ujjambai versus Union of India in 1962 rejected the same principle. That means the principle of aegis dum generis, and it observed that there is no common genes between the authorities mentioned in Article 12. That means the similarities which the Madras High Court have mentioned cannot be uh, cannot be prevailed, as there is no similarity in such bodies functioning, because they are functioning for the welfare of the people and not for any profit making organization or any such purpose, but as a responsible person, because they are elected by the people of India and they are answerable to the people of India if any such uh, wrong happens. But if we consider other authorities under the same line, then it will be unfair to the any of the laws and the people as well of the country. So this principle of aegis term generis was rejected by the Supreme Court. Further, in Reddy Shetty versus Airport Authority of India, in 1979, the Honorable Supreme Court gave 5-point test to determine whether a body is an agency or instrumentally of the state, which is as follows. Let's see them one by one. What is the test which the Supreme Court have laid down to determine whether the body or an authority falls under the term of other authorities to be considered under the definition of state which is given under Article 12. So among them the first test is the authority or the body should be have financial resources of the state, where state is the chief funding sources, that is the entire share capital is held by the government. Second, deep and perceived control of the state. Third, the function character being governmental in its essence, meaning thereby that it functions have public importance or are of governmental character. Fourthly, a department of government transferred to a corporation. And fifthly, enjoys a monopoly status which state conferred or is protected by it. That means that it should be if any such authority or body have been financially supported by the any of the government, be the central government or the state government, and performs its duties which are functioned or carried out by the state government under the guidance of the state or the central government, and such bodies or authorities are under the control uh, either of the state government or the central government, and their establishment have been mentioned in any of the laws which are prevailing in India, or there is any special law for their establishment, then all such bodies will be considered as other authorities and will come under the purview of Article 12. But further, the Supreme Court says that this test is only for the illustrative and not conclusive in its nature, and it is to be approached with the great care and the caution. That means the Supreme Court further moves a step further and says that it is just an example that how the other authorities should be considered. But this is not only the proper definition for that, it is just a way of, but while defining any such authorities, then the uh, judiciary should take a great care and caution while deciding who comes under the purview of the other authorities under Article 12. Further, in the Som Prakash versus Union of India, the Supreme Court held that the government company Bharat Petroleum Corporation fell within the meaning of the expression the state used in Article 12. That means after delivering the decision or passing the test, the Supreme Court says that Bharat Petroleum Corporation fell within the purview of the expression of other authorities and comes under the purview of the state under Article 12. Next, again in the Sukhdev versus Bhagat Ram, in that also the LIC, ONGC, IFC were also held as the comes under the purview of other authorities and comes under the purview of under Article 12. Again, in the R.D. Shetty versus International Airport Authority of India, the Supreme Court also said that international airport authorities also falls under the definition of 12. So from this understanding or this n number of judgments, we can come to the conclusion that of earlierly the Supreme Court was of restrictive interpretation to the term of the authorities, other authorities. That is, the authorities exercising the governmental or the sovereign function would only be covered under other authorities. That means the government or the sovereign function will be covered and nothing more than that. But later on, it began to give the liberal interpretation to that to the term of other authorities. Now it says that it is not necessary for an authority to be engaged in the sovereign or the governmental function to come under the definition of state. The bodies like State Electricity Board, LIC, ONGC and IFC also comes under the purview of other authorities. So this is how the from the restrictive view to the liberal view, the Supreme Court have changed its perspective about the other authorities as such. Now, but a big question arises still, that whether the judiciary itself falls under the definition of the state under Article 12. So what is the stand on that? Let us see that as well. The jurists like H.M. Sherwai, V.N. Shukla consider judiciary to be a state. Their view is supported by Article 145 and 146 of the Indian Constitution, which says that the Supreme Court is empowered to make laws or the rules regulating the practice and the procedures of the court, whereas it also provides the function that the Supreme Court is empowered to make the appointments of its staff and servants and decides its service condition. That means jurists like H.M. Sherwai and Shukla says that the judiciary is also state because it decides its own rule, makes the rule of their practice in their own courts, and also determines the appointments of its own staff and defines the service uh, conditions for this staff as well. So in this purview or in this background, they regard the judiciary as a state under Article 12. So, but in this regard, the Supreme Court itself says that in Prem Gar versus Excise Commissioner, that the Supreme Court held that when the rule making power of a judiciary is concerned, it is state. That means it clearly said when the judiciary makes the laws or are in the law making process in any of the manner, then the judiciary comes under the purview of the state. But a stay further, in the case of Naresh Sirdhar Miraskar versus State of Maharashtra in 1967, a nine-judge bench of the Supreme Court held that a judicial decision pronounced by a judge of a competent jurisdiction in or in relation to a matter brought before him for adjudication affect the fundamental rights of a citizen, since what the judicial decision props to do so is to decide the controversy between the parties brought before the court and nothing more. Therefore, such judicial decision cannot be challenged under Article 13. This is the case of judiciary acting in its judicial capacity. That means whatever the court or the judiciary takes a stand as a judiciary while sorting out the case between the parties which have came before them for having the justice in that purview, the judiciary cannot be let come under the article 12, that is under the definition of the state. But in the same case, the Supreme Court also observed that it is the plain that if the party desires to challenge any of the rules framed by the Supreme Court in excess of its power under Article 145 on the ground that they are invalid because they illegally contravene his fundamental rights, it would be open to the party to move the Supreme Court under Article 32. It has further held that such a challenge is not against any decision of the Supreme Court but against a rule made by it in persons of its rule making power. This is the judiciary acting in the so called quasi legislative capacity, that is the rule making capacity. That means a moving step further. In the same case, the Supreme Court held that if a person, uh, if the Supreme Court or any other court makes a laws being a quasi judicial in nature making or be the quasi legislative in nature, and such laws violates any of the fundamental rights of any of the person who have came up before him for any of the judgment, uh, while acting as an under Article 145 or 146, then the person can challenge such rules before the Supreme Court under the Article 32 itself. So that the so this means the Supreme Court clearly says that the judicial process or the decision given being as a judge, such decision cannot be challenged under Article 12 or 13, but the decisions taken as under Article 145 and 146 can definitely be challenged if it violates any of the fundamental rights of the people. So, like this, it very clear manner, it is again clarified in the upcoming decisions in the Ashok Kumar Gupta versus State of Uttar Pradesh, in which the again Supreme Court clarifies and says that Article 13 deals with the statute law and not with the law declared by the courts or with the directions or orders made by the Supreme Court under Article 142. That means whatever the laws are defined under Article 32 are does not anywhere speaks about the laws which have been framed by the Supreme Court while acting as a quasi judicial or the quasi legislative in any manner. Further, again, in the case of A.R. Anutulya versus R.S. Nayak, and also in N.S. Mirajkar versus State of Maharashtra, which we have earlier observed, it very clarifies which that very clarify means it uh, pays forward in a very simple line that when the rule making power of a judiciary is concerned, that means when the judiciary act as a legislative, then only the judiciary comes under the purview of Article 12 and 13. But when it exercises the judicial power and then it cannot be considered as a state. When so it is very clear from the Supreme Court's point of view that if a judge or a judiciary body act as the judge, then its decision cannot be challenged under Article 12 or 13. But when it comes for the rule making power, then it can be challenged and it cannot stop such persons challenging under Article 32. So, if you are guys very clear about this topic, about the under Article 12, who comes under Article 12, who are the authorities under 12 against whom the fundamental rights violation can be challenged. Again, whether the judiciary is a part of a definition of a state or not. Again, who are the comes under the purview of the state, what are the tests determined for that purpose, everything for that matter. Then please do like, share, comment videos as much as possible, and don't forget to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon, which will keep you updated about our upcoming videos. If you guys have any queries about this topic, then please comment in our comment section and let us know. So see you in the next video. Stay happy, stay healthy, and bye bye.